Hey listener, welcome to your deep dive, all about getting ready for that welding coordinator interview. You've already got the RoleCatcher guides, right? The career one, the interview questions, and even how RoleCatcher's AI can give you a real advantage. So think of this like we're your interview coaches. We're not just going to help you answer the questions, but really nail them, impress those hiring managers.
It's pretty cool, this role. It's way more than just welding, right? We're going to use those role catcher guides and your own experiences to show them you're exactly who they're looking for. Someone well-rounded.
All right, let's jump right in. There's this question, seems basic, but it's kind of tricky. What inspired you to pursue a career as a welding coordinator? I bet most people just talk about loving welding.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah,
But we can do way better than that,
right.
for sure. See, the career guide, it points out how welding coordinators, they need leadership, problem solving, and they got to have that technical expertise. This question, this is your moment to show all that shines through in your story.
So instead of saying something like, I've always been good with my hands, maybe I talk about that time, I led a team to build something really complex at my old job,
Yeah.
even if it wasn't welding. Exactly.
Exactly. See, you're showing them leadership right
Yeah.
there, handling tough stuff, which is perfect for a welding coordinator. And that's where RoleCatcher's AI can be a game changer. It can actually look at your resume and see if you're not emphasizing those skills enough.
Whoa, that's wild. It's like a personalized feedback system to make sure you're showing your best self.
Pretty much.
Okay, so let's say I nailed that first question. Then they hit you with, can you give me an example of a time you successfully led a team? What kind of story should I have ready?
Think back to anything, even outside welding. Captaining a sports team, organizing volunteers, even just taking charge of a project in school. It's all about showing those transferable skills like communication, delegating, getting people motivated.
So even if I haven't officially been a welding coordinator before, I can still show off those leadership skills through other stuff.
100%. And remember, the career guide, it lays out the typical career path. Even if you're going for an entry-level position, showing you're thinking long-term, wanting to grow, that's huge.
That's a great point. It shows you're not just there for a paycheck. You want a real career path, right?
Yeah.
Okay, let's hit another common one. What are the essential skills and qualities required for a welding coordinator? Seems straightforward, but there's got to be a way to make my answer stand out.
You got it. It's easy to just list off skills, but we want to dig deeper. The career guide actually puts numbers to it. Like it says 57% of welding coordinators need strong active listening skills.
Wow, I wouldn't have thought of that. So instead of just saying communication is important, I could be like, active listening is crucial for a welding coordinator. According to RoleCatcher, 57% of pros in this role rely on it to understand their team, the clients, and make sure everyone's on the same page.
Boom. You took a generic answer and made it specific, data-driven, insightful. Plus, you showed you know your stuff about RoleCatcher, which means you took the initiative and prepared.
All right, I like that. Definitely using that one. Now, what if they ask, can you give me an example of a time you had to adapt to a new technology or process? I've been doing things the same way for a while. I'm not sure I have a good example.
Don't sweat it. It doesn't have to be something huge. Think about any time you learned a new welding technique, a new safety protocol, even switching from paper to a computer system. It's all about adapting and learning.
You're right. I did have to learn a new software at my last job. I could totally talk about that. So we've covered leadership, essential skills. What about the technical welding questions? Those kind of make me nervous.
Let's tackle a common one. Can you describe your experience with welding inspection? Now, even if you haven't been a dedicated inspector, think about all the ways you've already done quality control. Every time you check a weld for defects or make sure it meets specs, that's inspection.
True. So even without formal inspection experience, I can still talk about how I make quality a priority of my everyday welding.
You got it. And the career guide? It gives a rundown of common inspection techniques. Brush up on those basics, and if they ask about something you don't know, just be honest. I'm still learning about that method, but I'm excited to expand my knowledge.
Shows you're aware of the standards and you want to keep learning. All right, next question. How do you ensure that welding projects are completed on time and within budget? This one feels a bit scary.
It's about showing you're organized and you can think strategically. Think about a time you managed a project successfully, ideally something with welding or a related field. Use the STAR method. Situation, task, action, result.
Okay, so maybe I talk about that time I had to fabricate a big metal structure. I can explain how I broke it down into smaller tasks, made a timeline, and tracked everything to stay on schedule.
Perfect. Don't forget the budget part, though. Explain how you estimated costs, tracked expenses, and looked for ways to save money without sacrificing quality.
So it's about being proactive, organized, and detail-oriented.
Yeah, you got it. Now, they might throw a curveball like, can you tell me about a time a project went over budget or got delayed? How did you handle it? That's where you show off your problem-solving skills and how you stay calm under pressure.
Ooh, tough one. I remember a project where the materials got delayed, which threw us off schedule. I had to scramble, contact suppliers, find different materials, and adjust the timeline to make it work.
There you go. Problem identified, talked to everyone involved, and found a solution. Shows you can adapt and overcome those obstacles. And guess what? RoleCatcher's AI can actually help you practice these answers and get feedback on how clear you are, how concise, even your tone of voice.
No way, that's awesome. It's like having a personal interview coach right in your pocket.
Exactly. Now let's talk industry standards. They might ask, can you discuss your experience with welding codes and standards?
I gotta admit, this one makes me a little nervous. I know the basics, but I'm no expert on every single code.
Nobody expects you to be. Just show you understand why they're important and how you use them. The career guide has a good overview of the common ones. Get familiar with those and focus on how you've actually used them in your work.
So instead of listing codes, I should talk about specific times I used them to make sure my welding was top-notch and safe.
Exactly. Like you could say, I know the AWS D1.1 structural welding code and used it a lot in my last role. I always check that welding procedures meet those code requirements, and I'm really careful with documentation and quality control.
Makes sense. But what if they ask about a code? I don't know.
Don't freak out. It's okay to admit you don't know every single one, but emphasize that you're eager to learn. You could say, I'm not as familiar with that one, but I'd be happy to look it up and get back to you with a more detailed answer.
Shows initiative, right? Going the extra mile.
Exactly. And speaking of going the extra mile, let's talk safety. They might ask, how do you ensure welding projects are safe for workers and the environment?
Seems straightforward. Of course, safety is important. But what kind of answer are they looking for beyond that?
They want to see you're proactive about safety. It's not just about gear, it's about creating a whole culture of safety, anticipating hazards, having procedures in place.
So it's about leadership, communication, making everyone responsible for safety.
You got it. Talk about specific safety measures you've put in place, like designated welding areas, proper ventilation, regular safety training.
They might even ask, can you describe a time you spotted a potential safety hazard? What did you do? I'm sure I have examples, but it feels weird talking about my own safety stuff.
It doesn't have to be dramatic, just shows you're paying attention. Maybe you noticed a frayed cable or someone not wearing eye protection. Explain how you assessed the situation, took action, and followed up to make sure it was fixed.
Right. It's about being vigilant, even for small things. Okay, we've covered a lot, but there are those trickier questions that catch people off guard. Those behavioral ones that really dig into your personality and how you handle tough situations.
Oh yeah, those are important. We'll tackle those next time. Stay tuned. You know those behavioral questions? They're really designed to see, like, how you work under pressure with other people and how you solve problems. It's not so much about right or wrong answers, more about how you think things through.
Okay, so they want to see how I tick, not just what I know. Can we try one out? I always get kind of thrown by these.
Sure. A common one for welding coordinators is, how do you manage conflicts and disputes on welding projects? Think about it. Welding can be stressful, deadlines are tight, people have different opinions. They want to know you can handle that.
Yeah, makes sense. What kind of story should I have ready? I don't want to sound like I'm always arguing.
It's not about never disagreeing, it's about resolving things well. Think of a time 2 team members disagreed on the best welding technique. How did you handle that?
Okay, I remember this one time. One welder wanted to use this technique they were really good at, but another welder thought a different way would make a stronger joint. So I started by letting them each explain why they thought their way was best, so they both felt heard.
Perfect. That active listening, that's crucial. The career guide, it really emphasizes how important communication and teamwork are in this role. You showed both of those right there.
Right. Then I tried to find some middle ground, focusing on what was best for the project's quality and safety. We actually ended up using a little of both their ideas, and it made an even stronger weld.
That's a great example. You didn't just shut down the conflict, you found a win-win, and maybe even got some innovation out of it. Shows you can handle those tough spots and turn them into something good.
Now, what if it doesn't work out so well? Like, I can't resolve the conflict. They might ask, can you describe a time you were unable to resolve a conflict? What did you learn?
It's totally fine to admit you don't always have the answers, Honesty and being self-aware, those are good qualities, especially for a leader. Pick a time where you tried your best, but you had to get your supervisor involved or find a different solution.
Okay, there was this one time where two team members just did not get along. No matter what I tried, it was bringing everyone down. In the end, I had to go to my supervisor so we could figure something out that worked for everyone.
There you go. It shows you're not afraid to ask for help and that the team's well-being matters more than your ego. And, RoleCatcher's AI, it can help you fine-tune how you talk about these experiences. It analyzes how you're saying things, like if it's clear and concise, so you're communicating really well.
That's amazing.
Yes.
I'm not always the best at explaining those tougher situations, so having that AI feedback would be a game changer.
Let's change gears a bit. Another question they might throw at you is, how do you stay up to date with new welding technologies and techniques? It's all about showing you're into the field and always want to learn more.
Yeah, I don't want to seem like I'm stuck in the past. I try to keep up, but besides those required courses, I'm not sure how to show that.
Think about what you do outside of work. Do you read those welding magazines, go to conferences, or are you in any online forums? Those all show you're really interested in what's new.
Oh, good point. I follow some welding experts on social media, and I'm in a couple online groups where we talk about new stuff. I could definitely mention that.
For sure. And if there's some specific technology you're excited about, like robotic welding or additive manufacturing, talk about it. Shows you're thinking ahead.
They might even ask, can you describe a specific technology or technique you learned about recently and how you'd use it?
Exactly. Have something ready, something that you really find interesting and that you think could help the company. Explain what you learned about it, how it could be used, and how you're keeping up with it.
I was reading about this new welding helmet. It has an augmented reality display, so it shows extra information right in your view. I think it could really improve accuracy and safety, and I'm learning more about it all the time. I could definitely talk about that.
See, you've shown you know about new tech and you're eager to use it. Now, let's tackle one that might seem scary if you don't have a ton of experience. Can you describe your experience with welding automation?
Uh-oh, that one does sound a bit daunting. I've mostly done manual welding. What if I don't have much to say about automation?
Honesty is key, but you can still spin it to show you're ready to learn. You could say, my main experience is with manual welding, but I'm really interested in how automation is changing things. I've been reading about robotic welding systems and how they can help.
So I'm being honest, but also showing I'm trying to stay ahead of the game.
Exactly. And any skills that transfer over, like knowing welding parameters or reading blueprints, those are good to mention too. They might even ask, how would you learn to operate a robotic welding system?
Then I could talk about taking courses, shadowing someone experienced, even practicing on a simulator. Shows I'm proactive and ready for new challenges.
You turned what could have been a negative into a positive, showing your adaptability and how much you want to grow.
This is all so helpful. I'm feeling way more confident about those tough questions now.
That's the goal. But before we wrap up, there's one more thing. Mindset.
Right. It's not just what you say, it's how you say it. Confidence is important. Yeah. Right?
It is. But it's more than just acting confident. It's about believing in yourself, knowing what you're worth. The career guide talks about how much companies need skilled welding coordinators. Remember, you have something valuable to offer.
So true. It's easy to get nervous and forget all the good stuff I bring to the table. So how do I show that confidence without, sounding cocky?
Practice, practice, practice. The more you prep your answers and really understand the role, the more confident you'll feel. And RoleCatcher can be a huge help with that. Imagine this. You record yourself answering questions, and the AI actually analyzes your tone of voice. It tells you if you sound confident, hesitant, or even too pushy.
That's crazy, like a virtual coach helping me get it just right.
Exactly. It's not just the words, it's the delivery. And don't forget to let your passion for welding show. Let them see how much you love the work, the challenges, the chance to contribute your skills.
Okay, I'm feeling way more ready now. Any last-minute tips for someone about to go into that welding coordinator interview?
Definitely. First, research the company. Really understand their values, their projects, what they're looking for in a welding coordinator. It'll help you tailor your answers and show you're actually interested in them.
Right. I don't want to sound generic. What else?
Have some good questions ready for them. It shows you're engaged and you're curious. Ask about their company culture, specific projects you might work on, even their own career path at the company.
Turns it into a conversation, not just me getting grilled.
Exactly. And remember, it's a two-way street. You're checking them out too, seeing if they're a good fit. Pay attention to how they treat you, what they ask, the overall vibe.
Right. Got to find the right place, not just any job.
We covered a lot today, huh? From understanding what a welding coordinator really does, to tackling those tough interview questions, even how RoleCatcher's AI can give you an edge.
I feel like I have a whole arsenal now to help me rock this interview.
You've got the skills, you've got the knowledge, and now you've got the insights. Go in there with confidence, be yourself, and let that passion for welding shine through. You got this.
And that's a wrap. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. Good luck with that interview, listener. We're cheering you on.